Vulnerability fosters good emotions and mental health. Vulnerability also is a sign of courage. We become more resilient and brave when we embrace who we truly are and what we are feeling. The Vulnerable Scientist podcast is a space for scientists who are honest and authentic or are working towards it. Join the vulnerable space by either sending an audio using the link on the show notes talking about your highs and lows as a scientist, or by contacting Sarah Nyakeri, aka New Biochemist, to schedule a chat. The Vulnerable Scientist podcast benefits both the listener and the one sharing. You can now rate this podcast on Spotify or put a review on Apple Podcast or any other listening platform with a rating button. And to share your thoughts, feel free to send an audio message using the audio link, either using your name or anonymously, to be published on the following episodes of the Vulnerable Scientist podcasts. Are you wondering what I use to upload and store my website spaces? Host Pinnacle. I've been using it for over 2 years right now and it has never disappointed me. So host your website today using Host Pinnacle, cheap and affordable and reliable services. To start experiencing Host Pinnacle goodness, click on the link on the show notes and you will not regret your decision. Hi everyone, welcome to the Vulnerable Scientist podcast. This is your host Sarah Nyakeri, and today I have Fredrick with me, who will be the guest for today. Fredrick, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, so I'm excited that you're in this podcast because you have a kind of little bit different background, but still in research. So maybe tell us who you are and what you do.
Okay, my name is Fredrick Mbugua. And I don't know which career to say, but currently I'm working in M&E field, but I'm statistician by profession. And yeah, I have few years of experience, but not many, since sometimes you find yourself trying to figure out which career before you end up in one after many trial in several fields. But mainly in research. I've worked in research for so many years as field interviewer, as data analyst, and M&E. That's it. Currently I'm working with international organization, CABI, and I'm great to be here, and thanks for the invite.
Okay, you're welcome. So first of all, what is M&E? Is that monitoring and evaluation?
Yes, I support M&E. Although the good thing with M&E, we have different areas where we have people working in qualitative, quantitative. So mainly I support in quantitative data analysis and fieldwork survey, design and supervision. That's my main role.
Okay, and CABI in full is?
It's Center for Biosciences International.
Okay, all right. So maybe take us through your career path or how you got to where you are right now. Maybe, I don't know, from where you feel like it's okay to start from.
Okay, that's fine. It's been a long journey, not really straightforward, not in a linear career path.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly started doing fieldwork data collection for various organizations. I've worked with APHRC, I've worked with KNBS, where I first started my internship back in my last year of undergraduate. Then it has been several contracts on and off, but stably I came to work full-time back in 2012 when I started my MSc. at University of Nairobi. That's why now I stabilized now throughout data analyst, then changed to monitoring and evaluation around 6 years ago. Yeah, and still in monitoring and evaluation. But still basically doing more or less the same thing, data analyst. But now it's like just changing department to M&E, which is a bit broader than just working as data analyst.
What did you do in your university?
Undergraduate, I did mathematics at Kenyatta University, which was a bit strange since even so many people, including my father, used to ask me, what are you doing mathematics to be? But the good thing, the combination, since I did pure applied and statistics, we used to call it triple math, then I found it's a bit easier to have career in statistics than in any other field. Not necessarily because of anything, since pure applied, it's more of academia field than the statistics, which has more career opportunity than the rest of the three branches of mathematics. Then for my MSc, I did biometry, which is applied statistics in life sciences. Yeah.
Okay, so why did you choose to do mathematics? Is this something that you had planned?
It's out of the natural way you love subjects, basically in primary school and high school. So my mathematics was the best subject. Although the good thing with the starting point, I started, since I think the units were not clear enough, so we had to do a bit of physics. I did a bit of physics and another course that was called appropriate technology before now majoring from second year. Now third year, I dropped everything, now majored into mathematics completely. So in fact, I think that the best thing with that blend of subjects, it allowed me to have a bit of understanding that maybe not just maths that I can succeed in, it's just I can do even other areas and I can do it. And which is very helpful in this career, since like when you're working with data, you normally work in so many fields. Agriculture, which is my main area now, but even sometimes you do finance, and you still work well with the scientists and the economists in various departments. Yeah.
So it was not all in vain.
Yeah, it was not all in vain. Sometimes I like the way we started, rather than maybe starting to do a certain course, then you don't even understand other fields better, so you always have trouble working with and understanding. Sometimes, since the tricky part of this, you have to do much of literature review to understand these fields better. Let's say you're working on value chain analysis, so you have to understand the marketing, the supply chain. Yeah, that was the best thing.
That was what?
That was the best thing, since you have to understand other fields. Although the advantage I have also, I tried to do a postgraduate certificate after I completed my undergraduate, which I did it in Strathmore University. It was called applied research. It was collaboration between Strathmore University and then Stateman. I think now it's IPSO. Yeah, back in 2007. Yeah, that was another additional certificate. I think it added part of my advantage when I came to job searching.
Why did you do it?
Even skill. The reason was immediately after completing my undergraduate, it was a bit hard to find a place anywhere. Since the problem is, I think the first interview I went after I graduated, then the sad part was, I remember the interview asked me, "We are looking for someone who is hands-on. You come tomorrow, we give you data, you analyze, you give us results." So I looked at it and I said, I don't have that experience. I've never touched. You only have theoretical background on everything. So, and I was honest. I just said, no, I need some few weeks to have hands-on experience. Then I can work. I know I can learn. Then I didn't get the job. So, but I learned a lesson. So I learned one thing is you have to learn too much of skills outside the academy. So instead of that, then I think I went to look for now softwares which you never had hands-on experience on. Those are the SPSS, the Stata, and the R. So I had to learn by myself to use those softwares, which now was great since the next job search I could be able to work on data at least a bit. Then luckily when I was doing field interview, I had a very good supervisor. He was called Dr. James Sierra. He was the one now who guided me. He was a statistician by profession, but he was supervising now field work when I was working for HRC. Now that was the advantage I got. He could spare some minutes to guide me. It's how you grow your career in statistics or any other field. And he was the main person who motivated me to pursue my MSc, to have an advantage when it comes out to job searching.
Okay. So, when you're doing your coursework with mathematics, did you know, like at that time, did you know what you wanted to do after that? Or how you wanted to, like where your skills can be applied?
Luckily, no, since you're just growing from high school, you're passionate, you got an A in mathematics, you want to join university, you are called for BSc in mathematics. And I had no idea. Although the funny part, we used to question, let's say like when we were doing pure mathematics, which was a bit abstract. We asked the lecturer, how can we apply some of this field of mathematics in the real world? Then the funny part was we used to share some courses with computer science. So, but then it couldn't have the clear direction. I want to do this and become this at the end of the day. But then after that year, statistics tried to take shape. Now learning test of hypothesis, operation research, and quality control. Now you see a bit of industrial application of statistics. That's where now things started making sense. I think that's why I also ended up choosing statistics rather than the other two fields, which I couldn't have clear connection how I can be able to apply them.
Which other two fields?
That's applied and pure mathematics.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
That escaped me.
And the third part, I was very strong in pure mathematics than even statistics.
But you saw the opportunities.
Yes, I saw the opportunities in statistics more than the pure mathematics. And luckily, if I would have joined my MSc immediately after I did my undergraduate, I would have chosen pure mathematics. But the moment now you try to look for a job, then you realize then I need to do a course which is more marketable outside than just academia world as a lecturer.
Wait, so pure mathematics, they don't go into industry?
They do have several applications. Since the pure mathematics, if you look at most of the computer science, they need a bit of good foundation in pure mathematics. That's why we have algorithm, those kind of computer background coding work mainly. Based having good background in mathematics. Yes.
Don't you see that
I didn't hear it clearly, sorry.
I'm picking the typing, so I wanted you to finish typing.
Yeah, sorry, the laptop went off, so the screen went off, so that's why I was trying to log in. The password is, sorry.
Okay, it's okay. What was I asking?
I think you're asking something to do. Do you think something related to the plan?
the pure mathematics, the passion you had, like you really liked it, but don't you see that you applied it later, kinda, I don't know, in the use of R and SPSS, or they don't relate, I don't know.
Exactly. I think that's one of the best area I can say I apply the mathematics background, since I catch up now the coding, like even when I'm using Stata, I like more the direct code syntax than the usual graphic user interface of the software. So I think it's still helps a lot. Then R, it's pure command driven analysis, so you still enjoy the crunching of the codes and memorizing everything to not to refer. So I think it still helps me a bit, although not directly related to everything to do with now the use of software, because nowadays the software are a bit easier and the languages they are user friendly, not the abstract in mathematics. Pure mathematics is too much abstract. I would say that.
What do you mean?
It's too much abstract. You do things you don't even understand what you're doing. Like for example, let's say we used to joke. There's a unit called real analysis. Then the introduction, the lecturer, the professor came and said, today we are learning about open sets. And one of the feature of an open set is a closed set. So you don't get it. How can an open set be closed? Then you spend like the next 1 hour proving an open set is closed. So, and you just have to to absorb yourself now to that kind of thinking in terms of the logic. It's more of logic flow and nothing. If you get the logic flow, doesn't matter if anything makes sense in the real world. Yeah. It's a beautiful film. I still miss it. At some point I thought maybe at my actualization level, maybe I'll still do MSc in pure mathematics. I don't know.
Hey, you're still passionate about it. You should go for it.
Yeah, it's at one point I think maybe since you find it's an interesting field. It's a rare one of the things that used to attract me more into pure mathematics is when you learn, even the professor introduced and say, this field we have very few people. Maybe the last person here went to South Africa to lecture who was doing topology. There's a unit called topology. And you get fascinated by those facts. Then I need to make my way into this academia world and be special. Sorry, it's the way we used to call it, be special in the field. Yeah. Apart from now, the normal appearance that keeps people off from the way professors are, but generally it was a good field.
Okay, interesting. So now you're out of school. You've tried looking for this job and you haven't gotten it because of lack of skills. So how did you get this other opportunity? The EPHRC. I don't know how to say that.
One thing, I just applied normally. I saw opportunity as a field interviewer. The first field work was, I think it was educational research that was being carried out in the coastal region. And they needed some few people from Nairobi, apart from the big group they had from Mombasa. So that's how I joined. I went for an interview. And the advantage I had done a bit of research assistant work when I was doing my postgraduate certificate at Strathmore University. I think I worked with one of the few lecturers when they were doing their field work. So I had a bit of experience in data collection. That's how I ended up now trying to see if I can get some money to survive when I'm still looking for a job. And yeah.
Okay,
it's a good field. It's a good field to start with, since I've seen so many people, especially in the science field, when they don't get their respective job after graduating. Most of the people, they make it through fieldwork data collection. Then you get network. When let's say you do fieldwork data collection in, let's say in agriculture, you are working in field of agriculture. you tend to have now, that's the opportunity now, you network with people who still lead you now to various opportunities and even widening up your perspective, since when you're graduating and you're coming out of university, you don't have a clear vision what you exactly want to. But the moment you interact with these people who already have experience in the field, the network is the key thing. So you get to, even when you're applying, at least you have an upper advantage when you attend those interviews in terms of articulating clearly what you want to work and you want to achieve in the goals in the career. Yeah.
Okay. So I've never been a field interviewer, so I'm assuming you ask questions. You meet people, ask questions, something like that.
Yes, field interview. It's a field where I can say various skills are needed. First is communication skills. Since you have to create a very good rapport with the respondent, and also you have to be very keen, since sometimes you handle different people. You find someone who have bad perception, don't have time, so you have to play cool and make them at least accept the interview, since the tricky part, sometimes you have a target. Let's say you have a target of 5 interviews to complete, and you don't have any chance of letting anyone refuse to answer any question. The other disadvantage is some questionnaires are very long, because I could even do a questionnaire like 2+ hours. I remember with the same organization, we went for field work for 3 good continuous months in Eldoret. It was still educational research. And we could interview, you start with household health, there's a questionnaire, the spouse and the children in terms of their school performance. You also do literacy tests, ask some few questions on literacy, numeracy. So it was long. Sometimes you even find, and it's very hard, since when scientists sit back and design questionnaires, they have their line of questions, but which in terms of the bulkiness, they are not friendly to the respondent. And having a background as a field interviewer, it's a plus for me now, since when I'm designing questionnaires, I try to make them more friendly, very short, precise. So at least I have background. Now, you put yourself in the shoes of the respondent. You find this farmer, they're busy, they have maybe some few things they want to work on, and you want to spend the least amount of time and get the minimum, or let's say the required number of variables to work with for the study. So it's still an advantage having both backgrounds of the field interview, and then having now this opportunity to sit down and design those questionnaires and actually test them out in the field.
Interesting.
But nowadays is a bit easier than the way we started. Since for a time we used to do paper questionnaire. Now it's a bit easier, since everything is
technology.
It's technology. Use tablet. Yeah, that's another area I work. I do the coding of the ODK coding of all the fonts we work with. Yes, that's in fact my main job, since we are very few people who do the ODK coding. And it's interesting. It's interesting to shift now from the paper questionnaire to the tablet, although it still have its own challenges, since you have to be very active when the field data collection is being implemented, since so many things changes and you have to quickly change the form, upload it. Yeah, you even have to work off the normal 8 to 5 times, since you are supporting different people who are first they are in different time zone, then also they are continuously working on the field. So let's say like a case is reported at the end of the day when they have debriefing. So you have to work on it in the evening, then upload, and they download the form in the morning before they go out in the field. So yeah, it's a continuous thing, I say. So it's not just the normal 8 to 5 working schedule, but it's interesting. It's interesting. Yeah.
You live next to the airport?
No, why?
I don't know. Is it a plane or a motorbike? Someone was passing there. It was very loud.
Oh, I didn't hear it. Sorry. Since I think it's because I'm on earphones.
Oh yeah. You can't. Even me, I can't hear what's going on around me. You're the only one who can hear.
Yeah.
I see. All right. So I don't know. Anyway, it's okay. So what challenges or what are the lows that you've experienced throughout your career path that you'd like to talk about?
In terms of low, apart from now the bit of steep career journey now to stabilize now, saying now this is my career and I'm working on this, having different challenges when trying to get the ideal job that we used to think we could do. Apart from that, then I'll say the other part was when I was doing my MSc, it was a bit challenging having a full-time job. Then since then I was working at Fredrick. I was data analyst working with I think gender, I can't remember exactly, it's a bit 2013. I can't exactly remember. But now working 8 to 4:30, then immediately now switching to evening classes. Yeah, it was not easy. But then after that, then the other lows was in terms of catching up with the softwares, since most of the time you find, like when I was graduating, I think I was strong in R, not quite good in Stata, but had a few basic understanding of how to, since more or less all software, statistical software, they have a bit of commonality when it comes to operating them. So now you find now this organization, they're using Stata and you like R, and then the scientists have to have the do file. The do files, they are all the code you use in your analysis. So when you're submitting your draft descriptive analysis, you have to submit now the do files to the scientist. Mainly when I was working at Lidl, that was the way we used to work. So when you're submitting now the work, you have to submit the do file. So since it's easier, since now someone can change some few things as they wish for their reports, then you go to somewhere else, they prefer SPSS, so you have to switch back to SPSS. Yeah, it's a bit, but now the good thing now is now I can work with, I think, most of them.
Yeah, so for someone who doesn't understand these softwares, that you use for data analysis, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Stata, SPSS that you've been mentioning, and R. R is a language.
Yes, it's a language, and it's more of it's close to Python, but R it's a bit friendly than the Python. Okay, that's my own perception. But then it have very nice graph user. I still go back to R when I want good graphic and visualization of the data I'm working on. But the Stata is it's the most common in most of the agricultural research, since one of the advantages with Stata, it's not as expensive as SPSS, the commercial license for SPSS. SPSS is common since most people can access the unofficial licenses out there, so that's why SPSS is common. But for Stata, most organizations use Stata. I find it's more friendly. But then the other disadvantage with Stata, it doesn't have good output when it's come now to, let's say you want to do tables. It doesn't give you the output that you just copy and paste to Word document. You have still to work on the tables and the rest when you're doing the reports. But in terms of analysis, it's quite friendly than, although people have different preferences, like my boss prefers spaces, so people have different preferences, but they all work the same. They have a bit of difference since I think SPSS is more to do with socio-economic analysis and Stata is more strong in, let me say, agriculture and other sciences. So since it can handle more and even it's working faster than SPSS, that's my opinion. I can't tell exactly much of the difference since I'm not too much into SPSS, since even if someone wants me to use SPSS, I still run to Stata, do everything,
Stata.
then yes, and then learn how to do it in SPSS, then give that. So I think I'm more comfortable with two than SPSS.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you want to talk about what you did for your MSc? Like
Okay, yeah.
What you worked on?
Yes, okay. Yes, I can talk about it since I did MSc in biometry, although there's no clear line between socio-statistics and biometry, and even I usually even joke say I'm half-baked actuarial scientist since like the whole of first year we shared most of the courses with socio-statistics and actuarial master student, and now biometry. It's a bit, the difference now comes in when we were doing now the second year, since some of the units, the courses we did, let's say like clinical trials, design and analysis of experiments, that's now they were unique, especially now for biometry students only. I think that's much of the difference, since now for social statistics they did more of econometrics, those kind of field, which are more to do with applied statistics in social sciences rather than in life sciences. Then for my project, I did apply now much of the work that we did, since I did something we call principal component analysis and cluster analysis for, it was a project that was being carried out in Senegal. So I worked with longitudinal data. There was 6-stage data collection for dairy farmers in Senegal. So the first thing that the scientists they wanted first to classify these farmers into various things to understand more of the characteristic of the farmers before they now try to work with them. It was a project that was being implemented. So I worked on that. The advantage I had when I was doing my final year, luckily I was awarded graduate fellowship at ILRI, where now it was now pure 6 months working on my project, and it was now at least it gave me an advantage of concentrating more on my project, finishing on time, and also having now, since now when you sit and you're working only on your project, and your project, the output of my work is expected to be part of big project work. So I had to now do a good job rather than just write a project for presentation to the professors and run away with my certificate. So I think that was the advantage I had. Since now with that work, then I was able to work closely with my supervisor, who was still the team leader for that project. So I got much of guidance on do this, drop this. But the problem we have when you have two supervisors, the university supervisors and now the job supervisors, there's too much of conflict, since the supervisor wants you to do more the mathematical things of the, let's say, principal component, which I did. But the supervisor wants you now to apply and have more analytical mind, and you put everything on your project. So it was a big, in fact, I even had to drop my supervisor last minute. He couldn't agree with some of the few things, and I had already completed my report, and then he said, no, you have to repeat this. And the other supervisor had given a go ahead. So I even had to go to the chairman and say, no, this is the work. So I had to leave my project with him for a while. Then he just said, no, I think it's good work, you can present it. Then when I went back to him and said, the chairman, I said, then he just said, no, I can't supervise you, just look for another supervisor.
Wow.
So at the end but the good thing, he had, let me say, a deskmate. They were sharing office with another doctor. Then the other lecturer just listened to, then he looked at me, then he said, then he had him giving me an appointment just for, it's like, just go away, come on this day. But it's like he knew he was not in that day. So when I came, I think maybe we are going to have a consensus, then we move ahead, since presentation was 1 week to that day. So then this lecturer just looked at me. He says, are you the same person who came? Since when I went, then I asked, is Dr. So-and-so around? He said, no, he doesn't even come today. And I said, he gave me an appointment of this day. Yeah, I remember he gave me, just sit. Just sit. Then we sat, then he asked me, what's the issue? Then just say, I'm not sure, since he wasn't clear why he was just trying to drop off the whole, but he was still insisting. So since I said, do I have to look for another supervisor? No, I just said, no, you have to work the way I'm telling you to do this. Then I said, then the best thing is, you have this document, then give me the feedback, then I can share with the other supervisor, then we can have a harmonized draft report, then I can give you back the project work, having amendment as per your requirement. But he didn't want to do that, so this guy said, no, just give me a soft copy of the work, send me to this email.
Oh, no, this other guy.
The new one, the new guy. So I just sent him immediately after. In fact, I went to Cyber Cafe, I would say, at Chiromo campus. Then I sent him immediately, since I didn't want him to change mind, since I wanted to be on the same group. Yeah. So then when I went back, he had read and he had done a few comments. Then he said, just go ahead, do the correction and come on presentation day. So I went and I added his name on the list of supervisors. Then funny, the other lecturer was still around for presentation. So when he saw me, I think he just wondered, what is this guy doing here? Then when I was told, since you have now to identify the supervisor, I didn't identify, I just identified this other one. So that's how I went through the supervision. Then it was clear, go ahead, do some correction as per the comments, then go and print and take to the library. When I had that comment, then I said, I'm done with it. Yeah.
Hey,
I still wish he was a bit open, why he wasn't. Although, I don't know, maybe I can work with assumptions. Why? Since it started even before I did in fact, before I even started working on the project, since there is this, sorry to say this, there's this wrong assumption when someone is under, let's say, scholarship to do a project. They think this money you are being paid a stipend is money to be shared between you and the lecturer. I think that's the wrong perception they get. So since the third part, you have to take now the contract to the university supervisor to sign. And it's clear you're earning this US dollars per month. I think they read that amount and say, there's my share here. So we don't act like you want to share that amount. I think that's where the trouble starts.
What? And you've made me understand some things that I'm also currently going through. Anyway, that's crazy. So,
So now I finished. I finished my work. Then my graduate fellowship had ended at Ilri, so I was still looking for another job. So what I did, I had done a bit of consultancy for another organization where I think one of the sad part we have, there's so many people who pretend they can do, let's say, data analysis, but then this guy was given, it was a baseline survey for a project that was starting consultancy work. The guy has given a lower quote, so I think he got the job. So then this organization was a bit stranded. Is this data from the field? The guy has vanished. They have all the questionnaire, they can't do anything. So they got someone who referred me to them. So I went and got the consultancy. I did the work quickly, since I wanted to do work quickly, then I can go back and finish my project and the correction, then print and take to the library. Then I got a job offer from them. Luckily, they wanted an M&E person, monitoring and evaluation person. So then even the program manager asked me, if you are interested, you can still apply. There's this application on Friday newspaper. So I just look at it and say, okay, yeah. I think since it was still new for me, since I didn't know, I could now switch from data analysis to monitoring. I thought monitoring and evaluation, I just need to go back to school, get another certificate in NME, which I never did. So just switched to, even most of the M&E technique, we had to have in-house training. Since one of the things now, I think they could compromise. They could just say, this guy is more strong in data analysis, report writing, and everything, survey design. So I think the rest of the few things to do with now doing the log frame and those kind of technical M&E, I think they just compromise. This guy can learn. He has some idea, so he can learn. So I got the job 4 days to my final submission of the work that I was supposed to do. I managed to do it, but then I couldn't manage to clear campus. That was in 2014. For one reason, the program manager asked me, Fred, you are looking for a job, you got it, you finished your coursework, which is more of a priority? Do you need to graduate or do you need to work? So then I said, just said both, since I didn't know the best answer. Then this program manager said, you have to go out to the field. So they sent me out to the field the week I was supposed to do my clearance. Then I said, okay, it's not even a big deal. I just said, I'll postpone. So I couldn't be able to manage to do my clearance and be on the graduation list. So I just postponed and just said, I'll have to do it next time. So then I realized even when it's come to the next year, it's still a big issue. Then I had to say, no, I have to graduate. I can't, either I resign or I graduate. So that's how I managed to have a bit of. Then the lucky thing, I had some, nowadays I can just, these my leave days, I take off. I take my days off. Then I hadn't accumulated any leave, so I couldn't say I'm going on leave to do my clearance at the university. Yeah, and I completed. I graduated. I completed. That was my job. I stayed there for a good time, 4 years. Before now, I joined Kabi.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for listening. You can now support this production through www.patreon.com/thevulnerable scientist.